Computer Sciences Corporation presents the Secure Sentient Environment. In today's coalition environment, the performance of the mission often requires the sharing of information. CSC has developed an interface for multiple video and biometric sensors, allowing information to be shared securely, preventing the accidental disclosure of information, and carefully monitoring and controlling the interface of classification and clearance. The secure sentient environment begins with strong physical access control. The entrance to the facility is controlled by a biometric scanner that verifies the identity of the individual before allowing access. Once the user has been identified and credentials established, they are free to move about the facility. The second level of secure sentient environment now takes place. We see that the user has entered the room and is now attempting to log on to the system. This logical access is controlled by a fingerprint sensor, which compares the identity established at the door to the identity of the user seeking access to the computer systems. Once that identity is verified, the particular missions and networks for that individual are brought up to that workstation and a zone of clearance established around them. We see now a demonstration of operator protection, so that when the user leaves their workstation and leaves the zone, the system automatically sanitizes until the user returns to that system. We are now seeing the IOTA interface view of the same scene we just witnessed. We see an integration of video analytics software with 8 overhead cameras, as well as a number of biometric sensors. The software behind this is able to establish the credentials, actually display the identity of the users and their credentials, and monitor the behavior and interaction between classified assets and cleared individuals. In this way, we can protect the sharing of information. In this demonstration, we see the secure sentient environment monitoring the interface and interaction between individuals of different clearances. A high clearance individual has just entered the facility and now comes into the security zone of the lower cleared individual. We see that the monitor does not sanitize, but rather allows them to interact naturally, allowing them to share information because what they're doing does not violate the procedures for classification or clearance. In a contrasting demonstration, we see that a user without clearance who manages to get into the facility cannot cause a disclosure of information. When that person moves into a classified zone, we see that the monitor immediately sanitizes, protecting information. And this doesn't work just once. If the user were to leave the zone and come back into it, we'll see that the system again sanitizes and restores when they leave the secured zone. This allows users to be able to interact in an environment without disclosing information. In the next demonstration, we see a user of high clearance entering the facility, first starting with the biometric sensor and then through the automated entry system. As they move into the facility, they're able to move through different cleared zones and have no impact on what others are doing or seeing. We see from the overhead IOTA view that as the user moves through the different classified zones, they're not impacting the use or the work in that area. We see as the user comes to their workstation, they are able to put a single finger down, bring up their individual missions. We see now the entrance of an individual who has lesser clearance, and as they move into the new secured area, immediately the monitor sanitizes. When they leave that area, they will see that monitor restored again. And again, if they repeat their infraction, and no matter how many times they repeat their infraction, the system will constantly monitor to see the clearance level of the individuals in a particular classified zone and work to protect that zone from any accidental disclosure of information. We now see an unknown user attempting to move into the area and avoid detection. The minute an unknown user enters the system, all computers become non-functional from the standpoint of booting or logging on. We see the individual now being chased by a robotic pan-tilt-zoom camera directed from overhead cameras, attempting to make an identification. If the user avoids the camera for more than 20 seconds, the camera will pull back and get a better view of the person in zoom. A face recognition system will then attempt to identify them from a watch list before making any changes to disclosure. We now see a demonstration of the physical access control system dealing with an unknown, unregistered user. We see that the system is constantly guiding that user in regard to positioning their eyes and face relative to the camera. However, after 4 attempts, it will give them both an auditory and visual signal that they are not recognized. In our final demonstration of the secure sentient environment, we're going to focus on one corner of the IOTA interface, the in-out board. We also notice that the default position for the pan-tilt-zoom camera is the door of the facility. A registered user has now entered, and notice that they are logged by name in the in-out board. In this tailgating episode that follows, an unknown user is also logged as a specific record so that that can be maintained and tracked, and of course it corresponds to a video of that particular time and date. We notice that as the unknown user leaves, their status changes to out so that we know now that all functionality is restored to the workstations in the facility because the unknown is no longer in the room. We also notice as the registered person leaves that they are also logged out. These records can be maintained for whatever period of time seems appropriate. We have now seen demonstrations of the secure sentient environment controlling physical access control, logical access control, functional access control. We've also seen the system monitoring the interaction of classified assets and cleared individuals, as well as among cleared individuals. We've seen a system that tracks and identifies unknown users and creates an overall security environment that allows for the sharing of information.